Welcome to NetSuite Refresher number 2, Corrections and Adjustments. How do you make a correction to a donation? What about an expense report that has already been approved? Or a transmittal entry that has already been sent to another entity? Today, we will look at the reason corrections and adjustments are necessary and learn how to make various kinds in NetSuite. Our key takeaways for today are to understand when corrections and adjustments are necessary, and the two-step correction principle that we should follow. We will learn how to make various kinds of corrections in NetSuite, and we will briefly discuss making adjustments in NetSuite. Corrections and adjustments are necessary when the transaction has an error, such as a wrong account, responsibility center, incorrect segmentation, wrong amount, incorrect name, such as an incorrect donor, customer, employee, or vendor, wrong item or designation, incorrect payment type, or if other information in another field on the screen is important enough to make a correction. It is necessary when there's a duplicate transaction, when debits and credits are mixed up in a journal entry, if we need to issue a refund, and month-end and year-end adjustments are necessary to assets, liabilities, income, and expenses. The two-step correction principle states that number one, we should reverse the original incorrect entry or the incorrect part of the original entry. So we should reverse the original incorrect entry or the incorrect part of the original entry. And then the second step is to then make the correct entry. So first reverse, second correct. Let's take a look at this in NetSuite. I'm going to change my role. I'm going to be a bookkeeper in Andorra. This is a journal that is already approved and posted. It is a transfer of conference fees from 2 staff members to Leader Impact because they participated in a conference. You can see that the amounts here that were charged to the staff member, and Peter King's charge is incorrect. It should be 50 euros. So we need to reverse this amount and then make a correction. The two-step correction principle states that we should reverse the original incorrect entry or the incorrect part of the original entry. Since the charge to Frederica is correct, we do not need to reverse it, but we do need to reverse the charge to Peter King and then correct that, and also to correct the amount that is transferred to the Leader Impact Responsibility Center. Since this is a journal entry that has already been approved and posted, we cannot edit it. But we can make a new journal entry to reverse and correct the charge to Peter King. An easy thing that we can do is under actions to make a copy of this journal entry. This will open up a new screen with all of the same information, and it will give it a new transaction number. Then you can directly edit it. And here is an example of the finished product. It copied the original information, and then I deleted the line for Frederica and created some new lines. So I reversed completely the amount charged to Peter King and the amount that was given to Leader Impact for Peter King. And then I corrected the charge to Peter King and corrected the transfer to the Leader Impact Responsibility Center. You can see my descriptions here, reverse and then correct. And my memo states that this is a correction of this journal. So first of all, I completely reverse the incorrect part of the original transaction. And then step 2, I made the correcting entry. In NetSuite, the two-step correction principle, it's partially automated. So unless it is a journal entry, you will be able to click a button that will do most of this two-step correction for you. It will either reverse or correct it for you. And all you need to do is usually just edit the information. Let's take a look at some of those specific corrections in NetSuite. So I'm going back to NetSuite and I am logged in as a bookkeeper again. This is a donation from a James Bond to, down below here it says to a Sarah staff for €100. Now, if this is a duplicate donation, I can just completely reverse it. If I click this button, it will reverse this transaction completely. If I click correction, it will first reverse the transaction completely, and then second, open up a new transaction for you to edit, which is your correction part. That's the step 2. You can also make a refund to the donor, and this should only be done in very special circumstances. For income that's not donations, such as sales of materials or conference fees, we can create invoices charging specific customers. This is an invoice to Asaro Solomon for the purchase of 10 project t-shirts. It is not yet paid. As you can see, I have not accepted payment yet. So if I need to edit this invoice, I can directly edit it. If it has been paid, which you can see here, paid in full, I can still directly edit the invoice. If I need to increase the amount that Soro owes, I can edit the invoice, or I can also make a new invoice for the additional amount. If Soro overpaid and I need to reduce the amount, I can create a credit memo, which would create an amount that we owe to Soro. Or that amount can also be used to offset a future purchase from Soro. For bills are amounts that bills are for purchases that we have made from vendors for goods or services. If it has not yet been approved by the responsibility center owner, then I can directly edit the bill. I can also cancel the bill, which would be a reversal of the bill. For expense reports, they can be treated exactly the same as bills. If it has not yet been approved by the supervisor of the employee, you can directly edit the expense report. However, you cannot cancel it. If a bill has already been approved by the responsibility center owner or the employee's supervisor for expense reports, you cannot edit it. If I try to click this button, it will give me an error message saying this bill has already been approved. I cannot edit it. However, I can make a journal entry to allow me to make my correction. If a bill has been approved and paid to the vendor, but you need to make a correction, you can void the payment, and that would make a reversal of the payment. If you void the payment of a bill or an expense report, it will turn that bill or expense report back into an open bill, at which point you can then make a journal entry to make a correction if you need to. Let's talk about transmittal. I'm going to change to a finance leader. So if you make an error on a transmittal entry, you have to make a correction as a finance leader. This is a charge to the United Kingdom from Andorra for the purchase of a flight. So Andorra paid for a flight for a United Kingdom SLN leader. And Andorra sent a charge, which has already been processed. So United Kingdom has already received that charge. If there is an error in this, you can, as a finance leader, click reverse transmittal. This is the first step of the two-step correction principle. This will send a reversal all the way to United Kingdom and then reverse that charge. Once that first step is done, you can then create a new transmittal entry for the correction. If your transmittal entry, like this one, says ready to process for CRM, that means it contains donation information. So this is a donation to United Kingdom staff member and has already been processed and sent to the United Kingdom and includes information such as the designation, the donor, and the amount and the currency. If it contains donation information and it gives you this message, unfortunately, you cannot directly reverse it. You need to contact netsuite.help@crew.org and they will help you to reverse that entry. Transmittal payments are usually made by areas to country ministries. These are payments on amounts that the area owes the country for all of the transmittal transactions. If there is an error in a payment, the entity that initiated the payment needs to contact netsuite.help@crew.org for help on that. So going back to our slide deck, let's recap. In NetSuite, donations can be corrected, reversed, and refunded. For invoices, if the payment has not yet been received, you can edit the invoice directly. If the payment has been received and you need to increase the amount, you can edit the invoice or create an additional invoice. If the payment has been received and you need to reduce or refund the amount, you can create a credit memo. For bills, if they are unapproved, you can edit them or cancel them. If they are approved and not paid, you need to make a journal entry. If they are paid, you can void the payment. Expense reports, if they are unapproved, you may edit them. If they are approved and not paid, you can create a journal entry. If they are paid, you can void the payment. Transmittal entries, you can reverse the transmittal. If the status is ready to process for CRM, so it contains donation information, you do need to contact netsuite.help@crew.org. For transmittal payment corrections, you need to request help from netsuite.help@crew.org. For corrections to journal entries, if they are unapproved, you can edit them directly. If they've already been approved, you need to create a new journal entry, including the correction. Adjustments. Adjustments are necessary for month-end and year-end adjustments of your assets and liabilities, income, and expenses. And some examples are accruals, deferred income and expense, inventory and fixed asset adjustments, including depreciation, etc. Some adjustments can be made with NetSuite in modules, such as inventory and fixed asset adjustments, and some with journal entries, such as anticipated expenses, contingent liabilities, etc. And these adjustments are usually done, if not every month, at year end. So today we talked about when correction and adjustments are necessary. We talked about the two-step correction principle. We learned how to make various kinds of corrections in NetSuite, and we briefly discussed making adjustments in NetSuite. So now it is time to take your learning to the next level. Take the quiz on your NetSuite dashboard. Remember, the result is not important. The important part is the learning that comes from taking the quiz. Join the NetSuite Refresher Forum on Workplace, and here's the link, or you can find the link in your dashboard. Post a response in the forum to this question. What is one thing that you found helpful from this video? How can you improve and how you use NetSuite to make corrections and adjustments? And then comment on at least one other person's post to get the discussion going. And one other thing that you can do is share with your coworkers who also use NetSuite. Share with them about these NetSuite refreshers and what you've learned and encourage them to take it themselves. Have a wonderful February.